I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the Ronin Titan is the tankiest Titan in Titanfall 2. Now, that was a lot of Titan talk, and that's really what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking a lot about Titans. I would typically not cover a subject like this because I wasn't too familiar with Titan gameplay, but after this game mode came out, well, let me tell you, that's completely changed. This is a little bit more my speed. It also gave me a lot of opportunities to actually learn, because that's how I learn gameplay. I need a lot of engagements to see what works, what doesn't. And what I found right away, which is a super simple one, is turning up your sensitivity. If you're using somebody like Ion or Ronin, who doesn't need to aim down sights, you're going to notice a huge benefit to turning up your sensitivity. I mean, you're going as high as 8 and 9 right now, because you don't have to aim down sight. It makes it so you can turn a lot faster, and since your field of view is a lot smaller in a Titan, this is just a huge advantage right off the bat. However, if you're trying to use something like the North Star, or if you have to aim down sights with Legion, you're going to notice that it's going to completely throw off your aim. So it's not as good with Titans like that, but you're still probably able to increase it by 1 or 2 from your regular standard pilot gameplay, or if you're playing attrition. I wouldn't fiddle too much around in attrition because you're kind of in and out of your Titan. But for this kind of game mode, or if you're somebody who probably plays a lot of Last Titan Standing, you may be able to turn up your sensitivity depending on which Titan you play. This guy tried to sneak up on me, but I was constantly turning side to side to look for things like this. Right now, a Scorch is an open field. He's going to have a hard time dealing against a Titan out here. It's a very difficult Titan to use. Getting caught out of position with one of these guys, it hurts. But this first clip was more so about teamwork. I actually stuck around with my team. You're going to notice this as I go through the clips. If I can follow a Ronin when I'm any other Titan, or even just doubling up on Ronins, it's a super strong strategy. And once you get weak, you try to get the last little bit of DPS down on guys. But I've noticed that a lot of people tried to come in for that execution, and I found that there's a few counters to it, or at least a way to really punish them for it. One is obviously Mines, Area of Denial, Smoke. The fists itself, depending on which Titan you're using, the lighter ones have a faster punch. If you can time those out, you can actually stop yourself from getting executed. Or when a Ronin is getting way too crazy with his sword, you can sometimes put him in his place with just a perfectly timed fist. And I think I need to emphasize that this mode is completely different from Last Titan Standing and Attrition in the strategies that you're going to use with your Titan. But the thing is that since in this mode you get so much uptime, you can take a lot of risks, you can see what works and what doesn't. This is why I think that anything that you can learn in Titan Brawl, you can bring over to Last Titan Standing or even your Attrition games. It really just comes down to familiarity and getting to try something for extended periods of time. That's really all Titan Brawl is all about. It's actually a good tool that they use to introduce people to their Titans, because before you had to earn it, then you get back into some pilot play and you kind of lose the feel for your Titan. But now since it's constant, I think it's a great place for people to learn all the Titans. I learned that I suck with anything slow. I'm terrible with Scorch and I'm terrible with Legion. But I also think there may be some balance issues there, to be honest, because all the other Titans seem to trump them pretty hard. If you're going to be Legion, you have to be very dependent on your teammates, and if you're Scorch, you're really dependent again on your teammates, as well as almost being stuck to certain areas in the map. That's just my opinion though, but again, I'm not very experienced. This clip was about just flanks. I think flanks are important with all Titans, and the thing about Titan Brawl is that if you make a bad flank, you kind of learn from it, and now I know how I can be a little bit safer in Last Titan Standing when I only get one Titan. So even though I'm a little bit more reckless in this mode, it gives me again an idea. Wow, look at those missiles. He just barely missed me. He probably could have gotten us 2 for 1. It'd be really neat if when I went into the air, if I can shoot some flares or something, because I have very little defense. That's why positioning is so key with that Titan. Now, I actually learned a lot about Ronin. I didn't really know how strong the block was. You saw that clip at the beginning. I think it's crazy the amount of damage you can take. If you actually have a Ronin just stand in the middle of the field or right in people's face, he's just such an efficient tank. The thing I like about Titan Brawl is it's not as team-oriented as Last Titan Standing. You barely get to play if somebody's oriented. You lose once and then, it's over. Here, oh, this is the juggle, by the way. It's actually working for Ronin's favor here, but he could have done the juggle as well. I was on defense. He got really up in my face trying to finish me off, and that's what ended up costing him that game. I've noticed that learning when to back off is a huge part of Titan fights. Usually I didn't find that backing off was great because I felt a little bit slow, but it's relative, right? These modes, I had to get accustomed to the speed of it. Once you're really into it, it still seems fast, but it's fast in its own way. Now, this is a little bit about defensive postures. This again is about just stopping their push, especially with a Ronin. Doing the knockback on the punch is something that helps your mines activate if you have to drop it all of a sudden. If you drop a smoke, never just let them go right through the smoke. Stand in it, defend that smoke, and try to get damage off in them and slowly get pushed back while trying to lay down some defense. Again, I think the punch is probably one of your best tools, but that's going to be based on some timing and getting to know the Titan that you're using. Now this is something I wasn't too familiar with. This Titan I've used a little bit, but here I got more experience. I learned a lot about having to know how much damage you do when you're charging up this gun. Because if somebody's almost doomed, then you just need to do a little bit of damage and then start going for the kill shot. When I was airborne, if I do a charge shot, I'm going to lose the uptime, so I also shoot a second quick shot, knowing those kind of combos. That's kind of what I've been learning when I've been playing this Titan in Titan Brawl. And I also learned that being able to space yourself, like getting aggressive with this Titan, it's super risky. I know sometimes you want to get those kills, and by the way, I need to mention this, they need to put the score of how much damage you've done on Titans on the board. I think it's just a good incentive, and I think it's something like assists are not the same. I think you have to give credit where credit is due, and masking credit, it's just not satisfying for a player. That's at least my opinion. I think that's something that they really should put. Like, some people's argument is like, your team won, who cares? Well, you still want to see how you did. That's why people like stats, right? It shows how you contributed to a team. Assists on their own or kills, it just doesn't paint the whole picture. Like, even I found things annoying like that in Battlefield, that a medic or a resupplier can sit in the corner and get the top score, but that doesn't actually reflect what he did for the team. I just like how this guy was flying across. So this was, again, a charging mistake on this guy as well. I end up charging for the shot way more than I needed to. But those are the things you're going to pick up as you do them more, right? Try to pick up on the things that you could have changed. This is where I get super aggressive. I'm like, I just want to go execute this guy, and he ends up taking me for a ride. You gotta admit, that looks pretty cool. And now this guy's gonna get taken for a ride. There's no winners in war. But what I like about this mode is that I'm gonna come back. If I would have done something ridiculous like this in Last Titan Standing, I wouldn't be playing for a while, and it kinda sucks. You know, I like to practice here and then get serious in there. Ion, I still think, is probably one of the strongest Titans. It's a lot easier to use than Ronin. I find that these two Titans are probably the best, but the skill ceiling on Ronin is higher. Thought I was gonna execute him, didn't you? But no. I like to go for a little bit more style. Plus, I wanted to get a few kills with lasers. I think this guy may still be here. This is probably a really easy place to shoot some Titans from. And we're actually gonna jump into a full game. This is gonna run a little bit longer than usual, but might as well cast it. I'm gonna be talking about Ronin in a separate video because I learned a lot about its burst damage. The main problem that I had with Ronin was that I'd take a lot of damage and then I'd kind of pussy out. But now I'm like, no, I have burst damage. Like, when it seems like you're down, that's when you make it up because they have to reload their weapons, they're on cooldown, and that's when you do all your damage. Trying to, obviously, well, this is just a standard Ion thing going on. I knew this was gonna happen. That's just the Ion way. This mode already has its own meta, and hasn't even been out very long. But I will be covering Ronin in a separate video because this mode, again, was such a great learning experience. So I'm gonna follow my Ronin. I wanted to follow somebody. I don't think it's ever a good idea to go on your own. Yeah, flanks are great, but they're better if you have some backup. If not, then you can't be quite as aggressive. You're gonna have to be held back a little bit. But once I have my Ronin up, from here, if I put up my shield, well, he can't shoot me. Ronin's got, you know, he's gonna lose somewhere. So teamwork, definitely a big part. I actually played this a lot solo, but I can see this game type even being funner if you have it with some other people, so you can start doing charges with like multiple vortex shields, you know, lining up kind of cool things like that. This was another mistake that I started finding out. Sometimes I'd be like, well, I could do more damage if I start shooting the other guy. I'm sure somebody else will finish this guy, but I'm like, no, that's a terrible way to play because then they have more DPS on their side. As soon as somebody's doomed, you should be trying to take them out first and then prioritize the second guys. I'm like, if this guy's still here, well, you know, finish him off, and then I'm gonna go back to work on these other guys. I'm about to go to the bridge. After this, I go to the bridge and I start trying to aim down sights, and you're gonna notice that my aim goes wild. That's a problem with the increased sensitivity that I ended up doing. I'm gonna do a quick flank here. Remember, Titans aren't as fast, so doing a slow flank like this, they still pay off in dividends. If you're wondering what perks I'm using the 0 point tripwire something or other. And then for my other one, I'm using the overcore. You know, having more lasers, it's just a lot of fun with Ion. I used to think I was pretty good on my timing with my shield to catch stuff, but let me tell you, it was not as good as I thought it was. It's definitely a lot better now, though. Again, it comes down to familiarity. I wanted to get a feel for all the Titans, but I find that Ion is probably my best, again, just because it has more room for error than Ronin. If not, I'd say Ronin's my second best, and it's funny because it actually correlates more so to the meta, and then I'm better with Northstar than the fat boys. So I'm pretty much just better with the Titans that are good. Anyways, this is going to be another flank. I'm going to follow another Ronin, and we're going to do the exact same thing as before. I help him out, and he helps me out. Good relationship. As soon as this guy starts going in for the execute, people are like, it sucks that he's invincible. No, that's cool. You get style points, but they're actually in a disadvantage. I got to set up the trip wires. I'm using my core. You know, you get a lot of time to prepare. You can drop the smoke. So it definitely puts them in a vulnerable position. It's not just a free execution. If you really want to get next level, you have to think about Ronins. Usually when they get out of an execution, they start doing their phase dash. So you actually have to lay their smoke somewhere else, not right beside them. You have to already, you know, plant it out depending on which direction they're going to go. But that's something that we're going to be discussing more in the Ronin video. Right now, you're going to notice my health is really low. Remember we talked about when somebody's really low, obviously you should be a high priority, if not you have DPS. So now I'm using that to my advantage by just being super defensive with my shield. I'm taking DPS from my other players while they do some damage of their own. I'm not just going to give them a free stock. I know sometimes you're like, well, I can't do too much with this stock because you're Ronin, you know, it makes it really hard for you to be aggressive without getting shot down by a laser or some sort of one-shot kill, maybe two-shot kill. Sometimes you're better off being an asset to the team by just holding up your sword block and just giving them something to do, something to focus on. Even if you're not going to be super aggressive, you just kind of keep poking in. Because sometimes I think people give away Titans too fast when they're doomed or when they have low health. So this mode gets 2 thumbs up for me. It's super fun and it's a great way to learn some Titans and get familiar with them. That's the end of this video, but I want to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit what's going to be going on in the future. I am going to be doing some collaborations on some other channels. You may see me pop up in some other places, so keep your eye out for that. What else are we going to be doing? I'm also going to be changing it up with some of the videos. I love doing strategy videos because that's first and foremost what I got into this channel for, but I'm definitely going to be branching out with some other videos, so I look forward to sharing them with you guys. I think it's going to make this channel grow even a little bit more. We're almost at 5,000 too, so I'm hoping we crack that within this month. That's going to be a nice little achievement. I know for some it's a small thing, but for me it's been a ride, so I put some work into this channel, especially in the last couple months. Now that I have my son, it's hard to get everything together, so there may be some dry times, but at times that could be because I'm working on something a little bit bigger, a little bit more elaborate. At least for me, I'm trying to, you know, branch out, do a little bit more editing, adding some more effects and stuff like that. So that's what we'll be doing in the future. Again, for everyone that's been supporting me, thank you so much. I'm Paper, cut to you, and I'll see you guys next time.